the agenda for this meeting. And when you are speaking, please adhere to the 3 minutes on the clock unless you're speaking in a language other than English and you need an interpreter, in which case you may have 6 minutes. All right, thank you. And our first speaker will be Alma Olmos from Santa Paula Optimist Club. You're right there. Thank you.
My name is Alma Olmos, and I am the president of the Santa Paula Optimist Club. As many as you know, the Optimist Club's mission is to bring out the best in the youth, our community, and ourselves. So when we were asked to help the Santa Paula High School football bring back the 50-50 raffle for the football program, we said yes without hesitation. Due to situations outside of anyone's control, we were able to hold one raffle at the home game. With one raffle, we would like to present to Coach Montoya a check in the amount of $329. Thank you to the board, to everyone. Thank you for all the hard work that you and other coaches put into this season, and we would look forward to continuing this next season. So, Coach Montoya.
Thank you, Ms. Olmos, and thank you for the Optimist Club, too. Thank you. All right, our next speaker will be Alina Peinado.
My name is Alina Peinado, and I'm from Santa Paula. I'm here today as a parent worried about my son, and as well as other students' safety while he's at school. Also, poor communication by the district. On the date of the incident was made aware by Ms. Donahue, where my son's life was threatened by a fellow classmate when he brought a bullet to school, showed it to my son, then threatened to kill him if anyone was told. The issue was dealt with by giving him a 2-day suspension. Later on, they ended up finding out with the investigation that he had also brought a knife to school earlier in the month. When the kid came back to school, he was continuing to harass and threaten and bully my son, mocking him, calling his 2-day suspension a 2-day vacation. Since the issue wasn't successful in my point, I emailed the superintendent, Ed Cora, and received no response from him. It wasn't until 11 days later where I received a call from the district and was able to get an appointment with Catherine Aguirre, where basically she told me that kids do dumb stuff and there was not much she can do about it. She told me that the principal was the one to deal with it, so I felt like I was getting pushed around. I'm upset about how this was handled. There is no urgency to keep my son safe, no notifications to the other parents. I posted this on Facebook if anybody saw it. It got over 400 responses. Other parents complaining, also not knowing about the issue that was happening at school. It also happened where a staff member had blamed my son for not speaking up sooner. What I would like to see happen is proper punishment for weapons and ammunition brought to school, increase the safety for my son as well as other students, and to have parents notified when issues like this happen. When something like this happens, parents don't know about it. We're not able to talk to our kids about it. I never thought I would have to ask my kids, did anyone bring a knife or any other weapons to school? I ask them every day if they have a good day. I get simple responses. Never did I think it was going to be something like this. And to continue to have it happen is hard on me, to think I'm protecting my son when I drop him off at school and nobody is doing anything about it. I did have to pull my son out of class and have him moved, but that doesn't solve the issue. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Penado. Our next speaker will be Ruby Moreno.
Hello. My name is Ruby Moreno, and I live here in Santa Paula. I have a statement from a doctor that I work with, and this is in regards to the whole bathroom issue with our gender, non-conforming, transgender, LGBT kids. And I will pass it out to you guys once I'm done with it. I don't want to waste my time on reading this, but I think it's very important. I have a transgender adult now who came out to us at freshman year in high school. And luckily he didn't have PE, but he was in band, so we had issues with the restroom. Never could we ever find a restroom that was able and portable for him to use. He had to always use the restroom in the band room because there was never a restroom that was available for everyone. It was either boy or girl. And there's always been discrimination. We dealt with discrimination last year that I brought it to the superintendent, but of course I had to speak with Mrs. Aguirre, which of course got us nowhere because there was no finalization as to what happened with that teacher and letting students discriminate against my child in a classroom. Now, of course, my child has graduated already, but I'm also here to speak up for the kids that are coming up. We're here, we're not going anywhere. These children do deserve a place to feel safe, to use a restroom safely, to be able to go up to the teachers and say, hey, I'm having issues, and for teachers to know what to deal with, for our teachers to be taught and be told what is safe, what is not safe, what words to use, what words not to use. Any little switch of anything can have dramatic effects on these children, and I don't feel it's fair that our kids have to suffer. We have lots of problems going on. It's not just the whole thing, it's violence, things have gotten so out of hand, and it's not fair for these kids. And having children that are LGBTQ plus is not fair, to just be able to not use whatever restroom they can, or not be able to go to a teacher and speak and have some kind of support outside of home. Home is sometimes hard. There's a lot of parents that don't understand, who don't want to learn. They should be able to go to a teacher and discuss. And if you go to a teacher and get discriminated against, what else do these kids have? And I'm sure you know my kids. My kids are very well known in school. They're very active. So if you were to see my child, you wouldn't even realize that he was transgender unless you really talk to them. And that's the sad part, is that nobody really knows, but we sure are discriminated against a lot. So I just want to, put it down and give you guys the statement from a doctor, Dr. Donaldson, who is very well known in our transgender, non-binary, non-conforming community, LGBT community. And he himself will let you know as far as how bad things can get for our kids.
Well, what do you think?
Good evening, board members, Dr. Cora. My name is Patricia Zavala, parent of a student at the district, and I'm here once again, on the issue of not having our LGBTQ youth have access to a safe restroom. You've heard students, you've heard parents, and you will continue to hear parents and students because we will not go away. And we are here for our students, and so should you be. You should be worried about their safety, the safety of all students, including our LGBTQ youth. You've had over a month to deal with this, and we can't continue to wait. These students can't continue to not use the restroom. They can't continue to not drink liquids or eat food because they won't have a safe restroom to go to. And something needs to be done now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zavala. Our next speaker will be Shirley Corning.
Well, hi, I'm Shirley Corning, the director of the Trans Alliance Ventura. I've been kicking around Ventura County for about 8 years now. I beat Caitlyn Jenner to the punch and transitioned before she did. Anyway, like all parents, I'm a parent too and a grandparent. We want our children to be safe. Safety first, and then we'll worry about the rest. So anyway, for the LGBTQ, you don't choose to be LGBTQ, you just are. Okay, and while you might be able to hide out a little bit being gay, lesbian, or bi, because you don't have to tell someone, if you're trans, you can't hide it. You might as well wear a sign that says, "Hit me, I'm trans." So, because, you were Bob or Charlie, and now you're Susan, and you're wearing dresses instead of boys' clothes, or vice versa. So, anyway, any kind of difference can make you subject to harassment. And so, if you have these restrooms, why shouldn't they be available? To all the students who want to use them. So that they could, because if they're subject to harassment in the restrooms, they don't feel comfortable, they're being bothered. If they could use a private restroom, why not? Why lock them up? So anyway, we do get new trans people every month, and the parents of trans youth every month who come to us asking, what do we do? And what do we not do? Because we want the best for our children too. And sometimes they're like 4 years old. I was 3 when I first wished I was a girl. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Corning. Our next, our next speaker will be Kaden Marino. Kaden. Oh, is it Kaden? I'm so sorry, I can't read either.
It's okay. Hello, my name is Kaden Marino. I'm speaking out as a trans youth myself. I have been through hell and back, kind of through high school. High school was really rough for me. I had to make sure I didn't drink anything or not really eat as much, so I didn't have like that proper healthy diet that the schools provide. And it was very tough dealing with a bunch of people that didn't accept me for who I was. And it was hard because not all trans kids have the ability to start that hormone therapy to make them feel like they're free. So when I was a freshman, I didn't have that opportunity, and I looked like I was a cross-dresser. I was called a cross-dresser. I was dealt with a lot of things. I had teachers let children discriminate me during class, and it's tough to have that own experience because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, they'll be fine, it's okay. But at the end of the day, you don't know how these kids feel, and you don't know what their mind is running through. And trust me, I know a lot of kids, once they get discriminated, they start thinking horrible about themselves, and it hurts. And it hurts even more when you have done so much to have some consequence towards people that have discriminated you and nothing is resolved. And it is very rude to not have people help. And those restrooms is one of the main priorities that a lot of kids wish that there was more of. And I understand there are restrooms at the school that are all gender, but those are for the teachers, and they are locked up, and you have to have a key. And it's very difficult for many kids to be able to be themselves, and it's hard. And I would like to say, think about the children and not about everything else. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Our next speaker will be Joseph Summers.
Thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of Diversity Collective in Tri-County. We are an LGBTQ organization that focuses on the entire county. I'm here to just support our parents and youth that are speaking to you today on behalf of the restroom issue. We want to encourage you to continue your work with the Coalition for Family Harmony in making the school district LGBTQ plus proficient. And we want to encourage you to open these restrooms on all campuses so that our students, who, like one of the mothers told you and gave you the doctor's description, these students do not use the restroom the entire day because they do not feel safe. They don't drink, they don't eat because they do not feel safe to use the restroom. So we must open these restrooms for them. We must find a solution. I can only think of that you are thinking of their safety by keeping these restrooms locked, but we must find a solution for the opposite reason. It's actually against their safety by keeping them locked. So I encourage you to continue to do the work that you're doing to make your campuses proficient for our young LGBTQ youth. And I encourage you to reach out to Diversity Collective. I encourage you to reach out to all of the resources that are here for you, as well as here for our parents and youth. And I hope that we find a solution sooner than later. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. And our last